got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin's the lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL for round 5 of the PC F2 season here for season 36. And today we are at the Canadian circuit for the Canadian Grand Prix. And well, Chris, I'm not sure you saw much of last week, because you're not normally here alongside me. Normally it's Sappy, but we saw an incident last week which ended in a bit of a controversial ending, but in the end that got sold. We had a very different top 3 by the end, so we'll see what Canada brings for us.
Absolutely so. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to be back in PSGL colours once again for some amazing racing here in PCF2. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a classic. It's been in the mainstay since the 70s, and what a fantastic circuit it is. Yes, I have seen the interesting happenings at Austria and the closing stages of last week. It's one of these things. It's a very divisive matter, so the stewards have dealt with it. Let us move on. But yeah, round 5 sees us hit around about the halfway stage of the season at Canada. We've still got some amazing racing ahead of us. We've had quite a roller coaster already leading up to this point, kicking off the season in Australia, then Spa, then Monaco, and then last week at Austria. Next week, slightly less trodden circuit. It is France that we head to next time out for round 6. Then one of my favourite circuits in the world, and I unapologetically say so, which is Portugal, Azerbaijan, Netherlands, Brazil, and Texas. What a lineup.
Yeah, it's an interesting calendar, isn't it? I know the drivers themselves wasn't very happy when they saw many tracks such as, I think, Monaco, Canada and Azerbaijan, because they're a little bit different. You don't normally see them, in terms of league racing. So I know the drivers weren't too strictly happy, but us as commentators are, because it means we have lots more action to cover and also a bit more unpredictable action to cover. But we'll have a quick look at the standings as well, as you can see them on our screen, and it is Mirko Soriano that leads on 36 points, only 4 points ahead of Reese Linton, who did get the win in the end after last week's race. Joost Noordijk got a penalty after the collision on the final lap, and Daniel Yeltsin also got a 3-second penalty for pushing someone wide at the final corner a few laps earlier on, so he inherited the win, which puts him on 32 points, 1 point ahead of his teammate Lenny Pinter on 31. Then a bit of a about 10 points back down to Tiger Hardy in 4th, then about another 10 points back to Jan Hardy in P5 on 14, followed by Kian Godendorp as well on 14. Then we have Julian Klaverbach and Daniel Koya, 7th and 8th, both on 13 points. Then 9th and 10th is Nico Benz and Kamil Stasher, both on 12. So a very interesting championship. There's about 24-ish points separating 1st to 10th. So still a lot to play for. And I think, if we saw the likes of Kamil to get a win today, and he could move himself up into around 5th or 4th in the standings, because it's still that close at the top. We're nearly halfway through, so consistency now is where it starts to pay off. The first couple of rounds, you can afford to have a mismatch here and there, but from this point on, Chris, you can't afford to make a mistake. It's all going to be, you've got to be consistently in that top 5, in that top 10, to have any chance of trying to go for that championship.
And you've got to think, as we tend to enjoy at this level of league racing, the field is so close that any mistake is punishable by such a hugely bigger degree. And already we are seeing an absolute flood of cars. Now, we're not waiting for the time to tick down. Wow, that is a huge percentage of the field have just gone for it straight away. Everyone's on the soft tyres. We don't tend to see anyone run wet tyres, as you sometimes see in Q1 in other sessions.
Yeah.
It is just the single 18 minutes qualifying session we see for F2 and beyond. It is only the F1, the top tier, that have the 3-phase qualifying. It's actually Kian Godendorp that will be leading the field away in the Williams. Wow, look at that. Just just a couple of cars have remained in the pit lane. Literally, only two. One of those is already on the move. Camille Statura is a little bit late getting away. For some reason, Simon Komsky still hasn't moved. So, oh no, yes, he has. Beg your pardon. So all 20 cars have gotten away very, very early. Now, sometimes that is indication that rain is on its way, and there are clouds up in the sky, but they're not that heavy at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit
Usually,
weird,
if you see a mass exodus like that, that tends to mean that we might have interchangeable weather because people are out there very early to get their laps in. If we were expecting a completely dry session, you tend to have, particularly in a circuit like Canada that is quite familiar to a lot of drivers, you don't tend to see a huge exodus from the pit lane like that. So the lead of the qualifying session has changed actually to one of the Alphas, I think it is. Who's now leading? It's Daniel Kilson, who will be first across the beam to start timing here in qualifying for Canada.
Of course, we'll see what Daniel can do here on this opening lap, heading down in towards turns 1 and 2. Just wanting to throw the car to the right, get back on the power nice and early. We know this circuit is very difficult when it comes to traction. Very easy to lose the rear on the exit of a corner, and you head down in towards this horrible chicane 3 and 4 before getting back on the power once again round to the end of that first sector. 19.0 is the opening sector here for Daniel as he heads his way through now to this next DRS zone, going very wide on the exit to get the best run you can on the exit of the corner. Now preparing yourself for this next right-hand chicane, right back to the left before you get down another bit of a straight, down towards turn number 10 at that horrible hairpin, which is very easy to go deep and very easy to go wide on the exit. You can see them there heading down, braking around 100 metres. 40.0 for that second and first combined. So far, Chris, looking like a decent lap here for the Sabre.
So far, so good. What's it going to clock in at? Let us see where... Well, he's some way away from actually getting... I was worried that he was actually going to be balked with traffic there, but he has managed to avoid the tail end of the traffic. So first across the line, Daniel Kielsen in the... for what was known as at the time as Alfa Romeo, 108.749. Yep, quite a short lap. We've got 35 racing laps when we do get underway. And Bradley Holdham has come back into the pits, not happy with his run. Now we should start to see some times come on the board. Kai Pearson's invalidated his run. Reese Linton, 108.644. Jaron Van Bussel, 108.874. Joost Noordijk, 108.8. Jan Halliday, 109.1. We won't see a huge deficit top to bottom because the lap is so short, but they are coming in thick and fast.
Of course, as our championship leader, Merker goes into P5, and after Daniel crossed the line, I saw the next 4 cars, both, all invalidated their laps. So that shows around here, it's very easy to get hampered by the track limits, as Leo Lund there and Liam Stevens pop themselves into P8 and P10. For the Red Bulls, still a little bit far off the rest of the field at the moment, so they will need to find some heavy time on their laps. I believe that was one of the Mercedes there that were in Yoris, popping himself up into P3 with 108.7. Kamil Sachura invalidated. He was purple in that middle sector. Shimon Lukomsky goes up into P6 there for the Williams. What about Sergio Sobrino? He's also invalidated. King Gondorp is invalidated as well. So many cars not making that opening run. 7 of them not getting a lap time in towards the end of that first part of qualifying. Now, it seems that they don't seem to be too bothered about the rain because they're all, cruising about and some of them left it late. So that's a good thing for those who didn't get a lap because it means, at least we now get to see them set a lap without it going towards wet conditions. But still, a big surprise to see so many making those key mistakes.
Yeah, it is a bit. And the thing with Canada is certainly the first half of the lap is just a roller coaster. It is fairly relentless. Turns 3 through to 7 are all rapid fire turns, and you get a tiny bit of respite before 8 and 9, which is a very easy place to lose the lap. And then it's a run to the hairpin, and then along the Casino Straight. And Tiger Hardy's had a bit of connection issue. Bradley Holdham straight back out on circuit after invalidating his previous round, along with Julian Klaffenbach. So again, not wasting any time. They've got in, they've got reshod, and they are back out on circuit again. Not quite as big an exodus as we saw the first time around, but still a few cars coming straight back out, not wanting to lose any time. Daniel Kielsen is one of them, so he's not long left the pit lane. King Goendorp has also just come back out on circuit. So again, of the banker laps we've seen, there's only 0.6 of a second from first to 13th. It's going to be very close, this one.
It will, and I presume many drivers made mistakes on their opening runs, because you can see there the gap between Reese and Leo, it is quite large, especially for one of these PSGL grids, and the fact that this track is so short, I'm quite surprised to see such a gap between the field. But Bradley Holden now heading his way down in towards turn number 1. We'll see what he can do here in the Sabre car, braking late to the left-hand side before getting back on the pole nice and early, trying to throw the car in, carry as much speed as you can do on the apex. Back on the pole nice and early, down towards turns number 4 and 5 in towards that horrible downhill chicane. Just want to get back on the pole nice and early and try not to lose the rear as you head your way through the end of that first sector.
Chicane, do you? You really don't like that chicane, do you?
I don't. It's horrible. It's a horrible chicane, and maybe because I'm very bad at it, I just don't think it's fun at all to drive, because you can easily run wide and break the break your wing on the wall, or you end up somehow getting in track limit violation on the entry.
That is actually a very good point. The walls are very, very close. They are always ready to dismember your car. So a mistake, very, very painful to make, as Daniel Kielsen now is just crossing the line, 100th ahead of Joris Crutzen. Again, he's surrounded by race class drivers. Reese Linton currently at the top of the tree in the Alpine. Joris Crutzen in the Mercedes, just 100th behind him. So Daniel Kielsen now working his way through fourth. This is the constant, and he's already invalid, and that is already an invalid lap. So that is how easy it is. Because the times are so close, you've got to maximize every pixel of space you can. But that, of course, flirts with the track limits even more.
Of course, big shame, of course, for Daniel to lose his lap before it even got started, as Julian Klaffenbach crosses the line with a 1 minute 11.1, so he must have made a big mistake on that lap. Kai Pearson already invalidating in sector number 1. What about Keane Godendorp? He's heading through down towards turn 10 at that hairpin, and still many drivers been hampered by these track limits. As we can see, the Williams head down in towards the braking zone of 40.274 for Keane so far on this opening lap for him, as we've still got 9 minutes left, and still people are completing their opening laps. That shows how much they're being hampered, of course, by the track and the conditions. We can see Keane now heading down in towards the final couple of corners. The Wall of Champions, as we know it here at this final chicane, just throws the car in and gets back down on the power towards the line. What will it be for the Williams? Will it be a top 10? Up into P8 there. Very nice opening lap here from Keane Godendorp. We've got Sergio Sobrino as well on a lap. He's just beginning his lap. Then towards the end of that first set, we'll see what he can do in the Mercedes. What about Joost Noordijk? He's in fourth at the moment. He's up by a 10th. This could be a fight for P2 here for Joost. He heads to the line. Where does he go? To the top there with a 0.590. Brilliant lap here from one of the Haases. Last week it was Julian on pole. Will it be the other Haas here on pole tonight in Canada?
Well, that is a very good question. I'm running on board with Sergio Sobrino. Pretty good track awareness from those that are on their outlap, staying out of the way of Sergio in the Mercedes. He's now coming down to that hairpin. Tiny bit of a lockup. Tycho Hardy does return to us in the McLaren. Good to see he's back. Hopefully he's able to overcome his technical woes. What about Sergio Sobrino, though? Again, working his way through the traffic. Like I said, it's a pretty short lap. It is only 68 seconds long. At the sharper end, here comes the Mercedes, flirting with the track limits once more. What can he get on the board for his first time run? It's a 108.829, which sees him into 6th.
Of course, very nice opening lap, of course, for Sergio Sobrino. What can Liam Stevens do? He goes up into P10 there in the Red Bull. We've got Leo Lund on a lap. He's heading down into that first sector. He's down by half a second, so that must have meant he completed his previous run. We can see it coming through that middle sector now. Andres Lopez here in the McLaren. What can he do for the McLaren team? Can he try and get himself any closer to that top 10 in the middle sector, down by 6/10? So he's done on that lap. Nico Benz in P7 going deep to allow cars to come through who are on their laps, and nearly a bit of contact there with the Ferrari. Had Nico Benz for a second. Hopefully that Ferrari wasn't on a lap, and was it? No, it wasn't, because Mirko was heading back in towards the pits, I believe, on that after that opening run. We can see Kamil Sasha heading down now towards turn number 7. He's on a 19.1 in that opening sector, so not too bad at all there for the Ferrari, who still hasn't got a lap time, along with Kai Pearson and Tycho Hardy. Obviously, Tycho had an issue with leaving the session early on, so that would have been due to connection, so we can let him off, of course, for not having a lap. But still a big surprise, and quite a shame not to see Kai and Kamil get an opening lap on, because now they're under a little bit of pressure here, Chris.
Overtaking is not very easy here in Canada, so you really do not want to be disadvantaging yourself. Of course, someone's got to start at the back, but you want to be giving yourself the best opportunity. Sounds like an obvious statement. You want to be giving yourself the best opportunity at any circuit. Yes, very true. But the harder the circuit is to overtake on, the worse that disadvantage feels. So Simon Komsky gets the top of the tree with a 108.477. That's a good lap. Very nicely done in the Williams. I'm keeping an eye on Tycho Hardy as he is coming through the final hairpin now with a fair amount of traffic ahead of him, but just needs to give himself some space. Of course, he's still got to get his first lap on the board. Some drivers kind of revel in that additional pressure. Some drivers seem to really thrive in the all or nothing, do or die kind of moves. Some prefer to kind of build up the confidence a bit. I'm very much in that. Well, what limited sim racing I've ever done, I'm in the latter half. I'd feel very, very disadvantaged if I had just one lap to set my time on. But Tycho Hardy now drops the hammer and starts his first time lap of the session.
Of course, we'll see here what the other McLaren can do. Andres Lopez, his teammate in P15 at the moment. So, not the best start for the McLaren team here tonight, but we'll see what they can do with Tycho Hardy heading through that first set. We'll have a little look at Jan Hardy, who's heading down now towards turn number 9 here at the moment. He's 2/10 up in that first sector, so far looking good here for the Aston Martin, looking to pop himself around at 0.9 at the moment. What can he do in the middle sector? Up by nearly 4/10. That is good enough to put him around P6 here, as long as he can hook up this final sector perfectly and get himself an even better lap time, a better exit out of that final chicane. Heading down now with the DRS, of course, in towards that final chicane. A few cars looking to set their first laps here in the sessions. Set their next laps here in the session. So hopefully they don't get in the way here of the Aston Martin, who heads through. Back to the right, back to the left, up towards the line. What will it be here for Jan Halliday? Will it be enough to get himself towards the top? It will be P4 so far for the Aston Martin. What about Julian Klaffenbach? Can he try and find an improvement? No, he can't. He's down at the back. We've got Lenny Papinta coming through in that first sector. He must have made a mistake. What about Tycho Hardy? No, he can't find that because he's got an invalidation. And well, looking at where people are on the championship, we've got Mirko Soriano, who leads. He's in 7th. Recently in 2nd in the championship. He's sitting in 3rd. Lenny Papinta, who's 3rd in the championship, he's sitting in 18th. And then Tycho Hardy, who's 4th, is sitting last. That's good for the top 2.
Yeah, Tycho Hardy invalidated around turns 3 and 4. And had that lap have been valid, it would have sit him in 3rd. It was a 108.63, I believe it was. Sorry, a 108.6. So he would have been 3rd, 4th, that kind of area, looking at the second row as it currently sits. Little surprise, Tycho didn't just barrel straight into the pit lane, but he decided to cross the line, which certainly gave me an indication of his potential lap time on that run. As I'm seeing from the maps, people still getting out of the way, still laps to be set. There's still time for people to get another set of boots on and get another run going. See what people choose to do, as we are not yet into what I call the Banzai phase, the final 3 minutes of qualifying, but we are not far away from that. So drivers need to be getting their head straight. They're working out whatever issues, whatever mistakes they've made, whether it's a setup change or something to do with an approach in particular corners. That turn 3-4 chicane is catching a lot of drivers out. So drivers are going to have to think about how they approach that, as that was an improvement from Andres Lopez, the second McLaren, up into 8th with a 108.806.
Of course, here I'm on board now with Nico Benz, who's up by 2/10 in that first and second sector. So he's also looking to put himself around that top 5 area. What can the Aston Martin do as he heads down in towards this final chicane? Throws it to the right, back to the left on the exit, gets your foot down to the floor. What will it be for Nico Benz? Will it be a top 5? Up into P6 there, just behind his teammates on a 108.742. I'm just going to see, is anyone else on a lap here? Because we can see Mirko Soriano, who's popped himself up into 3rd. Jost Nordijk has improved now onto a 108.552. And I think just for now, that is all that's been set on the board at the moment. Everyone else in the pits, or heading back to the pits to get ready to go out again and set one final lap. But Chris, because of all the invalidations, I've noticed everyone throughout this session until now has been really out of sync of each other.
Yeah, after those first runs, we've got a lot of people that are either in the pits or. I was just thinking we hadn't had that penalty, Kian. Not entirely a surprise. It is difficult to actually, find enough space when a lot of people are either. The irony is, it's just Kian plus 1, which I think was who was around him at the time. It was one of the Alpines, so it must have been Kai. No, it wasn't Kai. Kai's an AlphaTauri. What am I on about? So yeah, it was just Kian going to plus 1.
Lenny.
was around him when that penalty. That's the slight irony of that. But we are into the banzai phase now, as most cars streaming back out on circuit. So we will be facing a lobby restart, fresh set of tires, etc., etc. What are we going to see? It is going to be all or nothing, do or die. Nico Benz has decided to park it in the Aston Martin. Has he parked it or has he binned it? No, he's parked it. Yeah, he's still in the pits. So that's as much as he feels he can do. It is currently sixth with a 108.742. It's 22 thousandths off the back of his teammate Jan Halliday. So a good effort, but where will that see him? I suspect a lot of people still have improvement to find.
Of course, and well, at the moment, it's Szymon Lekomski on pole position, and the last time he took pole was back in Hungary. I think it was last season, where he led for the first 10 laps and binned it on the exit of turn 5 and DNF'd. So his pole to win has never really worked too well. His pole to finish hasn't really worked too well. So hopefully, if he can secure that pole, he can make a better run of it here in Canada. But we've got everyone now starting or getting ready to start their final laps here in the qualifying session. We've got Lemper Pinter, who's already invalidated now. If he's got enough time to go around again, he could. He's got a minute, so he might just about be able to go again. Get a final lap in. He might have to, burn a bit more on the tyres than he would like to. But we can see next coming through, Keane Gondorp in towards that downhill chicane. We'll see what he can do in this first sector. To the end of the first sector, it's up by 3,000. So, not ideal here for the Williams, who really hasn't had the best of season so far, has Keane. I believe he's around 8th in the championship. I'd expect to see him a little bit higher, considering last season we saw a completely different story from Keane. Took 4 podiums last season. So we can see him heading through now in towards the end of that second sector. What will it be for the first and second combined for that split? He's up by a 10th, which will put him on around a 0.8, which would only really secure him around P11 or P12 here.
Yeah, he's got to find a bit more than that, but it really depends on what his last sector was like when he set that 108.9. He's got traffic ahead of him. It's a McLaren and a Ferrari, but I think they are sufficiently ahead that won't slow him down any as they come through that final chicane. Now, what can the Williams get on the board? It looked fairly steady through that last chicane. Across the line, it's a 108.638. He found 3.5 tenths in that last sector, and that sees him currently up to third.
Well, I'll take it back. Brilliant there from the Williams team. We can see Kai Pearson come through. He goes into P6 there in the AlphaTauri. What can the Haas do? That'll be Julian Klaffenbach up into ninth there for the Haas car. We've got a few more coming through to try and find someone who's near the end of a lap. We've got Liam Stevens heading through towards honours. That, I believe, was Jan Halliday into P7. Jerry Van Bussel takes third in the AlphaTauri. Liam Stevens goes up into only P15 there for the Red Bull. What about Leo Lund? He's heading down in towards those final few corners. As we can see, Reece Linton finishing P6. Lekomski couldn't find an improvement. He stays at the top. Still ahead of Joost Noordijk. Mirko Soriano, as well as Leo Lund, breaks his wing on the exit of that chicane. Need to try and find someone else to come through. What about Mirko Soriano? Can he try and take pole position away here from Lekomski, who's still got it secured, as that's going to be Kamil Sasha into P4 there for Ferrari with a 0.590. What can Mirko Soriano do? He's going to be in a slipstream here from that McLaren. Joost Noordijk takes pole there with a 0.431. What can Mirko do? What can Andres Lopez do? Andres stays 15th. Mirko goes into 5th. So it's Joost Noordijk on pole ahead of Lekomski, ahead of Jerry Van Bussel.
Oh, that ended quick, didn't it? But yeah, Joost Noordijk pulling that out right at the end of the session to steal away by just a couple of hundredths that pole time. So it is Joost Noordijk with a 108.431. Yeah, half a tenth from Simon Lekomski. And then Jerry Van Bussel and Kamil Statura take on row 2. Mirko Soriano and Kian Goendorp row 3. Reece Linton and Daniel Kjurtsen, row 4. Kai Pearson, Tycho Hardy, row 5. Jan Halliday and Nico Benz, row 6. Julian Klaffenbach and Joris Krutzen take on row 7. Andre Lopez and Sergio Sobrino in row 8. Liam Stevens, Lenny Pipinta, row 9, with Leo Lund and Bradley Holdham rounding out the field just over half a second from top to bottom.
Indeed, and well, it's quite a gap, isn't it? Especially, for Lenny, Leo and Bradley, who really couldn't get a good lap time in and still really far back from the leaders. But it's a big shame for Lenny in the Alpine. He's third in the championship, 1 point behind, recently. He's about 5 points back from Mirko Soriano. And now he's in a really, really difficult situation. He's got a circuit which is hard to overtake on, a circuit which is very easy for track limit violations. He's got a lot of work cut out for him here tonight in Canada. But we have a little bit of a break because we have our restart, so we'll be back with you guys very shortly after our words over at GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre. Welcome back,
Yep.
everybody, and now we're here after qualifying, of course, in Canada. And I've noticed my camera is very, very delayed, so I'm sorry about that. My voice isn't linking up to the camera. I also noticed that the sponsor board wasn't working, so I've had some sort of technical failure somewhere along the lines, which really hasn't helped at all with the stream. But pole for Joost Noornog last weekend in Austria, looking to take victory, of course, in the house, but unfortunately had an incident in the final corner, or the penultimate corner, with Reeses, and he lost a victory, of course, being spun out, then also got a penalty on top of that. Well, he's on pole here, so he's got a chance to do it once again here for the Canadian Grand Prix, and we'll see if this time he can try and take victory. But I've got to say, brilliant from Jay Van Bos up into third. We don't normally see him around even that top 10 sometimes in qualifying, so to see him on the second row, it's brilliant to see, isn't it? And maybe he could look to try and take victory, because we know that in the past, he always benefits in that race pace.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all well and good being the quickest over the qualifying lap, but when you've got a race as difficult as Canada, it can spice up the grid, but it requires a very different discipline. It very much requires being able to get your elbows up in the right way. You can't just barge your way through. One, the cars won't take it. They're not designed for that kind of impact, but equally, the stewards won't like you for it. Let's be honest, they have a fairly thankless job at the best of times. But the walls are waiting to bite you. You don't have very many places where you have a lot of runoff. The hairpin, turn 10, yes, you have got some space there. But you want to be getting that exit right, because if you make a mistake there, you're carrying it a very, very long way, right the way up to turns 13 and 14, that last chicane. Everywhere else, you've got to force the mistake, or it is a slipstream fest along that back straight. Now, we've enjoyed some absolutely fantastic slipstream arguments, pretty much everywhere that's got a decent enough straight to do it. And I'm very much looking forward to doing it again. I think we are set for drier weather, which, in fairness, was how the lobby progressed. It was cloudy, but it was indeed dry. It wasn't raining when the original lobby progressed. I am a bit of a stickler for trying to stick to what the weather was, especially if it's wet, because we commentators love commentating on a wet race.
Well, maybe a qualifier, but not a race, unless it's dry to wet.
That's true.
Wet to dry.
I forgot. That's something you and I disagree on. I love a wet race. You're not so keen on it, and I'll give you. Canada can be very difficult in the wet. So okay, I'll rein that statement back in a bit.
Yeah, I think if it was wet to dry or dry to wet, you got the strategic elements in it. But when it's fully wet, nothing goes on, because no one's afraid. No one's really got, they're not bothered about making overtakes, because they know for a fact it probably won't work, especially around this circuit, which you can barely fit two cars in pretty much most corners. The final chicane, it's a no-go for two cars. Many other corners are the same on this circuit, so it does also make overtaking in general a little bit hard, and that's what issues we could see face of those a little bit further down the grid. And yet again, a reminder of the standings. Mirko Soriano leads on 36 points, ahead of Reese Linton by 4, who's on 32, and Lenny Papinsa in third on 31 points. He's all the way down in P18. So a lot of work needed here for Lenny to get himself back within the conjunction of those top two in the standings. We can see further down, lots of Tucker Hardy in P4. Then we've got a very close group, really, from 5th down to 12th, which is Jan, Kian, Julian, Daniel, Nico, Kamel, and Dylan, all within 2 points of each other. So lots to play for those guys as well in the standings. So we'll see what they can do and see if they can work their way up, and maybe if they can get a bit lucky, try and close into the top 4 if they somehow make a mistake, or maybe some unluckiness gets the best of them. But further back, the likes of Liam Stevens and, well, Leo Lund's got no points, hence why he's not on the top 20 in the standings. Red Bull have got to do something now. They've got to get some points on the board, because it's just not gone right. Last season, it wasn't the best season for Liam. He got about 17, 18 points. But this season, he's on 5, and with 5 rounds in, I'd expect to see some more points from the Red Bull. So he's also got to figure out what went wrong. And Leo Lund, last season, I believe, was in F3, did a perfect job as getting podiums, wins. And now he's stuck in F2 with 0 points. There's something not right there. It's a big shame to see Leo so far down, because coming into this, I thought he was going to be a candidate for the championship.
And it would be a fair prediction there, based on performances that you and I have seen, and of course his fan base have come to expect from him as well. It's a bit of a shame. Sometimes it just goes that way, though. So you just don't have the luck of the rub of the green, as a Irish phrase goes. You don't have the luck go your way, and an element of sim racing is dictated by luck. Some argue that you make your own. Some in my argument, sometimes that luck is decided for you and often against you. But that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Is when you've got such a close field, again, I come back to what I was saying earlier, when you've got a field that where the talent is so close, top to bottom, one small mistake could ruin your race. And if you then that kind of snowball can keep happening, you're overthinking what you're doing, you're overdriving your car, etc., etc. One mistake becomes 2 mistakes, becomes 5 mistakes, and you end up, very much undermining your own reputation. All of these drivers deserve to be here, but maintaining that spot is so difficult.
Indeed, because you've got to be constantly on top of it. And for some drivers, that means practicing a lot. Some drivers here can practice maybe for an hour or two, and they can be on their top pace, whereas some others need a few days, need a few hours of practice to get really to their top form. So for those drivers, it's a lot harder to kind of keep consistent every week, because we know that for a fact that not every driver's got all the time in the world to practice. So when there is weeks where they can't, they seem to fall a little bit short. And I think we noticed that throughout many seasons, throughout many tiers, that there is definitely drivers who are in that ballpark. But I think going into this now, the best thing the drivers need to do is just keep it calm, keep it collected, because it's a difficult circuit. One incident can lead into many people being caught up. So they've also got to make sure they're being aware of the walls, being aware of the track limits, because the last thing they want is a car pile up in turn 4.
Which is possible. I mean, the thing with turn 1 here, you don't have a very big rundown towards it. So the opening lap is still going to be chaotic, because the opening lap always is. But it's not like it's a very big run. You're not hitting turn 1 for the first time at a huge rate of knots. Turn 2 can get a little bit clumsy. But yeah, turns 3 and 4, that very dreaded chicane, which already caught a lot of people out in qualifying, is going to be difficult. Turn 6, a bit more of a braking zone. Then you've got that turn 6, 7 chicane. And then it's the dreaded hairpin. Turn 10 could well see some action. Hopefully by then the field has at least spread out a little bit to be able to go through there properly. But there's always going to be overtaking opportunities going on. By the time you get down towards the final chicane, the Wall of Champions, generally the field has sorted itself out even by the end of lap 1. But, all well and good saying it, let's see how it turns out in practice.
Of course, and there we're at the awkward situation where we sit here and wait until we get to see the 5 red lights and all the cars on the circuit heading down towards that first corner. Now, strategy could be interesting. Many different times, many different strategies could work around this circuit, so that's another thing we will definitely be keeping an eye on. But hopefully we don't have to wait too long. And I've noticed here in Canada, there's a lot more fans surrounded on the grandstands than there is around many other circuits, I've noticed. So it's lovely to see lots of support here for the Canadian Grand Prix. And make sure, guys, to let us know in the chat who you think will take victory around the Canadian Grand Prix, who will come out on top. It's Jost on pole, ahead of I've completely forgot who was in second, but I know that Jerry Van Bussel's in third. I remember that. The guy in second, he'll come to us when we get starting. So we'll hopefully not have too long of a wait, Chris, before we get underway. But yet again, we're having a very, very long hold.
Yeah, it's one of these things. The drivers have got to sort their strategies out. And, go on, take it away, son.
Well, we have 4 and we have 5 lights here around the Canadian Grand Prix. It's going to be Jost on pole ahead of Lekomsky in second. They head down towards turn 1. Very good start for the top 2. We'll have a look at tyres as they head in towards that braking zone. Jost on the hards, all those behind on the soft tyres down to P6. So Jost could have a bit of a terrible start here due to those being on better tyres than him at this position. Now we can see Lekomsky on the attack to the inside of the chicane. Makes a move ahead of the hard run, and there we've got Jerry Van Bussel looking to make a move ahead of Jost to get himself in towards P2. He goes to the inside, brakes later, tries to get the move done, slight bit of contact. Jerry has a bit of a slide there, bit of a tap I believe there from the Ferrari of Kamil Sasha as they head down now towards turn 6 and turn 7. We can see just behind as well Marcus Soriano in P5 looking to close in, but a very good start there, Chris, from Lekomsky to get himself ahead of Jost, and now Jost is really stuck behind him, and now Jerry Van Bussel can't really find a move through.
Well, yeah, almost exactly half the field going for hards, the other half going for soft. Lots of squabbling going on through the field. I'm having a look further back to see if anybody has ploughed into the back of someone else's diffuser. And no, actually, we have got, surprisingly, all 20 cars still in the same train. Generally, someone has fallen by the wayside. Yeah, a decent start by Lekomsky. He needs to get away now Those soft runners still trying to work their way through the field. They want to get as far up as they can ahead of the hard runners to make their tire strategy work. Joost Noordijk, just any car he can hang on to the back to for as long as he can is going to be of huge benefit to him over his next hard shot runner, Kian Goendorp. But at the moment, it is the Komsky from Van Pussel who's just taken that second place from Noordijk.
Of course, very good start, of course, from the top two, and also Camel and Mirko will be looking to work together to get it past the Haas probably this or next lap, because we want to get the moves on the soft as early as possible. So, you know, they can have a big advantage against Joost once they make a pit stop. We can see Camel there gaining in brakes later. As he heads his way through, you can see a lot more speed can be carried through, a lot more grip on these soft tyres. A bit of battery being used here by the Ferrari. Tries to pull to the inside line here, brakes later than the Haas, gets the move done for the moment. Joost is going to try and hang it around the outside. He can't do much at all there against the Ferrari, but has a very good exit. But now he's got Mirko on the inside. Mirko takes P4 here from Joost Noordijk, who now drops down to P5, and he's now with that train of hard runners, obviously being Joost, Kian, Daniel and now Kai. So he gets past Reese Linton in towards this final chicane. So we'll see what moves can be made here. Nico Benz being overtaken there by Andres Lopez, who's on the attack here on the back of Tycho Hardy. They head down to turn one once again, and still it's Lukomsky leading from Van Bussel, leading from Camille.
DRS now available to the drivers. I'm riding on board with Nico Benz. Side by side with Andre Lopez through turns 1 and 2. The Aston Martin has the inside line. The McLaren has the momentum. So that battle's still going on. Oh, there's a touch between the two. And somehow Lopez actually prevented his car from going into the wall. Full sliding going on in the Papaya car. How on earth he kept that out of the wall? Fantastic car control from Lopez.
Indeed, and also we saw there Papinta and Sabrino get together as they headed through in towards the end of that first section. Still, Papinta defends a position, of course, but a very good start from Lenny. Up into P13, was down in last pretty much at one point, so very good from him to look to get closer to points here at in this race. So far, obviously took second last time out in Austria. We'll be looking to try and get himself a little bit closer to that if he can today here in Canada. We can see further ahead the likes of Tycho Hardy looking to close in here on the back of Reese Linton to make a move for P9. He's gaining in, but never enough to make a move, of course, ahead of the Alpine. And then obviously further behind there, Andres Lopez losing the 1 second gap, of course, to Tycho. That's quite crucial, especially for his race and all those behind who are in that train. As we can see Tycho Hardy break later to the inside. Reese Linton can't defend that at all on those hard tyres. So into P9 goes Tycho, down to P10 goes Reese.
Andre Lopez having to push now because he was in real danger of losing DRS to Reese Linton. So he's going to have to work hard to close that gap down, which he is doing. All 20 cars still going. I mean, crikey, I can't remember the last time I commentated a league race where someone hadn't had to have some carbon fibre changed. Our top 4 now, all soft shot cars. Both of the Ferraris 3rd and 4th. They'll be quite pleased with that start, at least for now. Mirko Soriano, of course, our championship leader, coming into this round, finds himself in 4th behind his teammate Camille Statura, who is in 10th and the championship. Oh, that was a bit deep from Mirko, who probably will get away with that because Joost won't have the drive coming out of that hairpin. Slightly further down, Jan Halliday and Bradley Holden side by side. The Alfa Romeo did not get a good run out of turn 10, which is the hairpin. DRS, of course, then helping our drivers just keep in contact with those ahead. Got to keep a cool head, though. It's very easy to get it all wrong. Oh, no, Bradley had a terrible run through that chicane. Does he have damage on his car, I wonder? He was really, really slow and under all kinds of pressure from Joris Crossen behind.
Of course, and still surprised to see Joris yet again near the back of the grid. We've seen that pretty much all season. No points, I don't think, have been scored by the Mercedes of Joris. So a big shame to see how far down he's on the grid, because I think me and you know Chris is a very talented driver, been competing against some very quick drivers. So to see him so far down is a very, very big surprise. But we'll see what he can do. Maybe try and score a few points for the Mercedes team. We can see further ahead. And Papinta looking to gain in here on the back of Nico Benz, looking to make a move into the chicane. Has to back off, knows he's not close enough just yet to make a move ahead of the Aston Martin on the exit. Gets back on the power nice and early, however, down towards turn number 10, pulls to the inside of Nico. Brakes later, Nico tries to tuck him as far to the inside as he can. Bit of a send there from Sabrino on the back of Nico as well, looking to make 2 moves as he can try and get ahead of Nico, but still not close enough. Pulls to the outside, looking to use some slipstream, but hasn't got any available to him. As I head down now towards his next braking zone, we can see Tycho Hardy take P8 away from Kai Pearson. So very nice here for Tycho to get himself now a little bit further up in terms of points, but still a little bit back off the top 7 train.
He is at the moment. He's going to have to push. He's well outside of DRS range. 1.5 seconds behind Daniel Kjotson. It's Tycho Hardy as Sabrino gets past Nico Benz for 13th position right now. So still a fair amount of squabbling going on, but generally the pecking order has been established. Tycho's having to burn a lot of battery to get into DRS range of that top group. No matter where you are, you want to be in the DRS range, yes. But being the DRS is open all the way along that back straight, you will lose an absolute ton of time if you don't have DRS. Now, he's trying to also catch up to the back of some hard shod cars. Those hard tires will be in their best condition now. The softs will start to really fall away now. So the soft tire advantage is no doubt gone. Has Tycho got DRS? I think he was too far back. It was indeed no DRS available to the Papaya McLaren. He's burnt up the last of his battery just to stay in touch with the top group. It's right behind him, Reese Linton, or Lease Rinton, as I was about to say, has just managed to get past Kai Pearson for 9th.
Of course, a big shame for Tycho now to be really out of this at the moment. Obviously, having 1.7 second gap and also zero battery in the tank. He's got a lot of work to do here to defend from the two behind, obviously being Reese and Kai, who are both in the race coach team up racing for Alpine and Alvateri. I'm on board here with Daniel Kjellson, who got very close to the back of Keane Gondorp last lap around but never found a move. But the key thing to notice here is Joost Noordijk was on pole, but he's only dropped down to P5. So he's not in the worst position. He's actually pushing closer to the back of Mirko Soriano here. So maybe, Joost is on the winning strategy. We said that last time in Austria, and it all, fell down for him on the last lap at the final couple of corners. So hopefully today, if he can get in a position to win, he can keep it calm and collected till the end and not cause any incidents. We can see now looking to make a move into turn 10, goes to the outside of the Ferrari, tries to hook it round the outside, can't do so, hasn't got the grip there to keep it around the outside of the Ferrari, but has a good exit. Heading down there towards the chicane, he'll be looking to make moves, which really forces us in the top four also to have to make moves here.
Joost Noordijk used a lot of battery on the way down to turn 10 as well. So he's really starting to push. He's not just going to let the laps roll as Reese Linton now, with a struggling Tycho Hardy, gets up into 8th position as Joris Krussen and Julian Klaffenbach swap round towards the back. Bradley Holdham is in. So that is probably a sign that the softs are done. From what we're seeing now, the pace difference swinging back towards advantage hard runners here. Mediums going on to the Alfa Romeo of Bradley Holdham. No front wing change either, so it's just for tyres. That's quite a long way for mediums to go. I wonder if he's banking on a safety car at some point. We know the weather isn't going to intervene, so that seems quite a long distance for mediums to go. The rest of the soft runners, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in within the next few laps. Probably next 3 or 4 laps we'll see the rest of the soft runners, unless Bradley felt that he was a bit of a danger, so decided to get off those softs early on. I'm a little surprised he didn't go for mediums. I didn't go for hards rather. I think those mediums are going to be an absolute sponge by the end, as Joost having a go at Mirko Soriano for 4th position on the exit of the hairpin. The Ferrari dumps the battery to remain where he is at the moment.
Of course, they're looking for a move, but the two Ferraris defending well here ahead of Joost Noordijk, who actually went for the move and got the move done into turn 10, but didn't quite get the exit he wanted of the corner. We can see Tycho Hardy also in the pit lane. Many moves being made. We've got Daniel on the back of Kian. To the outside goes Asaya, but can he get the move done in towards turn 1? He's going to pull it back to the inside at turn number 2. Gets back on the pound on early and gets the move done. Does Daniel. Brilliant to now make some moves here in this race and get himself ahead of the Williams runner, and who's now down to P7, and also we can see Joost Noordijk looking to get closer here to the back of Mirko. Can he send a move here in towards turn 7? No, he can't, but he's getting in every single lap now. He's going to be looking to make moves, probably this next lap before those guys look to make a pit stop.
And everybody that's been through the pits, all now medium shot. Bradley Holdham right on the back of that particular pack. Didn't manage to get an undercut on anyone. Oh, as Nico Benz has bounced off the wall on the exit of turn 4. So that's, well, whether that's caused any damage, he may well have gotten away with that if it was just flat tyre wall, as Joost Noordijk again challenges Mirko Soriano going through turn 10. But again, the Ferrari manages to keep the charging Haas at bay.
Of course, we'll see now what moves can be made. We can see Lukovsky and Jerry Van Bussel fighting for position. Here's a Oh, that's going to be, I think that was Jerry into the pits. So yeah, it will be. So the AlphaTauri heads into the pits ahead. Now it's going to be Simon, then Camille, then Mirko in the top 3, and Joost Nordijk in P4. And actually, Daniel has been pushing quite hard. He's now only 2/10 back from Joost, so he's looking like the quickest runner on the hard tyres at this current point. So we'll see what he can do, and if he can try and make any difference in the results of this race. And we can see Jerry Van Bussel pop out in P15. Will he be ahead of Tycho Hardy? It's crucial here for the AlphaTauri. He's actually quite far ahead here, so this has worked, of course, for Jerry Van Bussel. And look at that gap. He's got a 1 and 2 second gap, so the undercut not really working here.
No, it would seem so. It's I can't. I've been keeping a loose eye on that backpack. They've not fought that hard to cost themselves 2.5 seconds over Jerry Van Bussel. Yes, Jerry was in the lead, so he was ahead of Tycho pre-pit stop. But either way, the undercut not working well, as I'm now keeping an eye on that top group. One of the soft runners absolutely leaving a trail of Pirelli on the road with a big lockup coming into that final hairpin. Now, are any more of our soft runners going to be coming in? Likomsky, Statura, Soriano continuing along their merry way. Lopez has come in along with Pearson, so 2 more of these soft starters getting rid of those red wall tyres, assumably onto the mediums.
Of course, so many of them, well, so only the top 3 really staying out here on these soft tyres, making them go a little bit longer here in this race. And let's see, where does Jerry come out compared to Andres and Kai? Wakely. What about Lenny? Where does he come out in this? He's now net P2 in this race. Obviously, behind we can see Tycho and Sergio fighting into turn 1. Close contact between the Mercedes and the McLaren. Who's going to get the better exit on the exit of the corner? It will be Tycho Hardy, who defends a position ahead of Sergio, ahead of Nico Benz now in P17, in net P5, net P6 here in this race so far. They're looking to get to battle, as we can see yet again Joost Nordijk on the back of Mirko Soriano.
Yeah, still challenging those soft runners, but is this costing the hard starters time? He's not got a huge pace advantage as all 3 of our remaining soft runners locking up huge into that hairpin turn. Now, surely now is the time to get in and get rid of those tyres, but it's going to drop them into traffic. Well, certainly potentially at least. The undercut doesn't seem to be the popular way, but no, they're sticking with it. They want to keep the medium stint as well, the medium tyres as fresh as they can, as Klaffenbach gets over the head of Jan Halliday for 8th position. Joost Nordijk is just biding his time. He's not wanting to push. He wants these hard tyres to carry on as long as he can to make that short stint as short as he possibly can, unless he is going to go for mediums. If that's the case, he's really short-changing the hards, as that is a penalty for Daniel Kielsen in 5th place. At the moment, that would be very painful indeed.
That would drop him so far back at this point, he might not even be able to score points with that 3-second penalty, because the gaps are that close between everyone here in the field. We can see further down as well, Jerry Van Bussel looking to gain back into that top pack. Only 6 seconds back from those who yet to pit, as we can see. Nordijk make a mistake as he's spun the car. He has, hasn't he? Yes, he's had a mistake coming out, and he's hit the wall.
Well, yeah, front wing is missing from Joost Nordijk. Oh my goodness me, I looked away just at the wrong moment then. So I didn't see how that took place. But that is the end of Joost. Unless the safety car is triggered, that is going to be the end of his race. He will be absolutely livid with that particular outcome, whether it's his fault or not. There will be some very unbroadcastable words in that R8G Haas. Into the pits he comes. Does he choose to continue with the pit stop? He ought to, really. Hasn't retired the car, so it does look like he's going to go on as Kai now gets onto the penalty board.
Of course, more penalties coming through and through. People hitting the wall. It's not going well at all for many drivers here. As Leo Lund gets a penalty in P10, so also a big shame for him as well in this race so far. And we'll see Joost Nordijk come out at the back of the grid, quite far back from those in the leading pack. So a big shame here for Nordijk in the Haas to go from pole now to last here in this race. We can see further ahead, though, Yeltsin looking to make a move here on the back of Mirko Soriano. Let's see, what can he do? He heads into the braking zone, pulls it to the inside line, brakes later. Can he get the move done? It seems like he might do. He can. There we are. So Yeltsin down to P3 ahead of Mirko in P4. We'll see. What can Kian Godendort do? Can he try and close in as well to the back of the Ferrari? Because he's looking to gain him, but obviously this time around, not close enough, but maybe next time around he could be.
Yeah, Mirko's not even attempting to get back past Kielsen, but still continuing. The 3 soft runners are continuing along their merry ways. Klaffenbach just manages to get ahead of Jan Halliday before they get to that final chicane. Pipinter and Hardy swap round for 13th position. Of course, on fresh tyres, they're trying to close in on Jaron Van Bussel. That gap down to just under 1.5 seconds now between themselves and the former race leading AlphaTauri. So we'll see if they are able to close in. How much battery have they got? Well, Tycho is down to the 20s, whereas Jerry is in the 80s. So huge difference in energy use. Another penalty on the board. That shows how easy it is to pick up those dreaded 3-second penalties. Nico Benz now adding his name to the penalty board.
Of course, and the later we get through in this race, the more penalties we'll get and the more warnings the drivers will get. So a big shame for all those who have got penalties because they're going to drop so far down the field because of the grid being so close together. In towards turn 10 they go, and we can see still it's going to be Lekomsky leads ahead of Camel, ahead of Daniel Kjelton, who's actually looking to gain in here to the back of the Ferrari. Can he look to make a move here for P2? They head down towards this chicane, but the question is, when do they pit? The top, well, the first, second and fourth. Do they make a pit stop? Yep. No, they don't. They stay out. What about Mirko? Does he pit? No, he stays out as well. So actually, one of the Ferraris will have to do at least an extra 2 laps because of their, because of the fact they don't want to double stack. So we can see Pipinter make a move ahead of Hardy to get himself into P13, and they look to still try and close in onto the back of Jerry Van Bussel. But crucially, Van Bussel's pretty much nearly with this leading train here.
Oh, Kjelton having a go at Statura on the 80th turn 2. Yeah, Ferrari's all over the place. Those tyres are just absolutely dead. And Kjelton is getting impatient, sizes up a move at the inside line, coming into turn 6, gets alongside the Ferrari, should be able to use the traction of their hard tyres because they're still in pretty good condition. And the Ferrari has nothing left to argue with. So Kjelton now starting to make moves. He's getting impatient. He's losing time now behind those, sticking with those soft runners. I'm a little surprised that they haven't come in yet. If the mediums are good to last that long, then there's no reason for them to stay out there. Mirko nearly slams into the back of his teammate just because he cannot get the car slowed down. Those soft tyres are absolute sponge.
They are, and this is allowing Keane also to look to gain a hit to the back of Mirko Soriano. We can see Camel Stasher side by side in towards turn, towards the chicane, and they make pit stops, does Shimon and Camel. So it'll be Daniel who leads ahead of Mirko, ahead of Keane now, as they all head down towards turn number 1. And these hard runners leaving out very late, but the soft runners still, where will they drop out here? We'll look at here on board with Camel. He's going to drop all the way down to P17, P18, possibly. Yeah, and all actually they come out together, and actually Simon gets a move done, even though they were side by side out of the pit box.
Oh my goodness me! So it's still all kicking off. Here they come, then the Williams and the Ferrari, and they're behind Kai Pearson. So again, I'm not really sure that very long stint is going to work out for them. However, they have now got much fresher mediums than those around them. So longer term, it could well pay off, but they've got some work to do. It's 4 seconds between Kai and Bradley Oldham as Van Bussel has gotten ahead of Liam Stevens now. The hard starters are probably going to start to struggle around about now. Although on board with Jerry Van Bussel, he's pushing quite hard to gain on that top group. Linton just gets ahead of Keane Goendorf now on the exit of turn 10, but that's going to go back against Reese Linton. Well, Reese actually has DRS, but Keane's got the momentum, gets back up into third. They're going to have to sort this out before the braking zone, and they do manage to do so. Mirko Soriano finally comes in. The question is, where's he going to reappear?
We'll see what happens to him, as we can see Klaffenbach looking to make a move into turn 1. Pulls to the inside, has to back out at the last second here behind the back of Reese Linton. As we can see, Jan Harday also into the pit lanes in the Aston Martin. Very early pit stop for the hard runner of the TS driver Jan. We'll see where he comes out. He comes out behind Mirko, behind Kai as well.
No, well, we will see whether the longer stint is going to pay off, but yeah, Jan Halliday shortchanged those hard tyres, but we are halfway in the race near enough. So if those that have gone onto the medium tyres can make it, then Jan Halliday absolutely will. He can absolutely quali lap this car until the checkered flag falls. Reese Linton very close to Keane Goendorf once again, still very much glued to each other. With the pit stops going on, Daniel Kjelton now has 2.5 seconds over his fellow hard runners. Now, what will he do with that? Will he be able to run off into the distance, or will he decide to shortchange those hard tyres? Time will tell. Liam Stevens in a little bit of awkward spot. He's got 2 medium runners ahead of him. Here comes Linton on Coendorp with the DRS open. Nothing that Williams could do. Oh, Oh, no, that's trouble. That is huge trouble. Now, whether King Gondor was thinking about coming into the pits, he suddenly had a car to his inside line, and sadly, that's gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Well, that could have ended in lots of damage. I couldn't quite see it as, well, the camera angle got very messed up when they came together, so I'm not quite sure what happened at the actual point of contact. But big there between Reese and Kian. So on lap 18 and 35, they're both heading to the pits, and I don't believe both of them wanted to really go in and make a pit stop. I think Reese wanted to continue, made the move, so I thought surely he would have tried to go to the inside rather than the outside line if you knew the possibility of Kian making a pit stop was there. As we can see, Andres Lopez there looking to get himself ahead of Liam Stevens, makes the move ahead of the Red Bull, and also Nico Benz following in suit now, P9 for the Aston Martin, and still further ahead we can see Jerry Van Bussel in P4. I see now behind the back of Leo Lund. We'll see what does Leo do to defend this, because ahead of him is Joris Krozen in P2 so far, and still Daniel stays there, even though he's got a 3.7 second gap and a penalty, so I'm surprised he's gone out so long on those hards.
I'm a little surprised that the hard runners are still going over the halfway stage. What I think happened between Reese and Kian was on the outside line. He was on the inside line towards the chicane, so he wasn't on the racing line, but he wanted to try and make the stop. So what he was trying to do was exceed the braking point, which would be correct if you were coming into the pits. But unfortunately, Reese, unknowing of that strategy, started to turn in, which unfortunately meant that Kian collected him. So that's what I think happened. It all happened so quickly, it was difficult to tell. Kjeldsen is into the pits again. I think that's the second time he's come in.
Oh, Nico Benz retired.
That's an incident. That's an on-track incident. The safety car is now out. What? Pit lane. Brace yourself.
Well, what do the people do there? Do they pit or not? Because Julian, Kian, Daniel have been completely ruined here in their strategy, and Reese Linton has as well. So he's now down in P17. Oh, yeah, and big shame for Nico Benz. And King gets a drive-through.
Speeding behind the safety car. Well, that's a rare one.
It is. But surprisingly, happens more often than not.
Yeah, it certainly happens more often than it should.
Now,
well, I mean, King Gondorp's at the back, so he's not long been through the pits following that incident with Reese.
The top 8 surely pit, don't they?
Well, most certainly. Those that are on, I would say the top 12 are going to look to pit. Possibly Yost as well.
Yes. Connor makes a good point.
I reckon the top 12 are going to look to come in.
I'm looking at the chat there, and Connor says hopefully no Danny Berejne pit lane glitch, because that happened before at Canada, and I believe it is, well, not a common issue, but I think it's happened a couple of times at Canada, so hopefully that doesn't happen. As you can see, Shuman stay out, Camel stays out, Mirko, Jan stays out as well, along with Daniel. And we'll see now, where do people come out here? So Julian will be in P6. Oh, no, he won't. Where will he be? He'll be down to P10. He'll filter back in in P11. So because of people coming at the pits, it messes up who's ahead of each other. So Julian's down in P11. And Reese Linton obviously down in P12, but he, I believe, we didn't make a pit stop. So he's really been hampered here, hasn't he? In the LP.
I think pretty much everybody I said of the top 12, almost all of them have come in. So now that puts your top 4 at a tyre disadvantage.
Yeah.
It's only 3 or 4 laps, but as we've seen time and again, we've still got 14 and a half racing laps left. Yes, okay, we've got a safety car period to end, but that's only going to last another lap or 2. And as the race progresses, they're not going to want to come in again, because those mediums should well last that long. Well, certainly people's strategies were having them last a very, very long time. So those top 4 are going to have to work very, very hard. Also, that's going to put Klaffenbach, Linton, and Goendorp at a slight disadvantage as well, because they've got laps on their medium tyres already. But there was no point them coming in because they'd not long got those tyres on.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but the likes of Jerry is in yet again a very good situation. He was in a good situation either way. He was on the winning strategy. And now he's pitted, got out in P5 because of the lead he had originally. So he's in even of a better situation. He could be looking here to take victory. Leo Lund in P6, Joris in P7. They're all on a very good strategy here at this point. So it's an interesting one, as we can see Kai Pearson enter the pit lane down to P19. So he's going to have to pit again. I don't know if he got damage there at some point. But the 2 Ferraris could be in a bit of a weird situation here. They could be in a really weird situation because they've got to defend on 4/5 lap older tyres, which is it's a lot, isn't it? We know
I-
sometimes there's a difference between 1 lap difference in tyre age.
He's gone for softs. Why? Really?
Well, they did 14 laps, didn't they?
They are going to be they're going to be sponged by the end. If they don't detonate, I'll be very
Well,
surprised.
he's got a penalty. He was near the back anyway. He's got nothing to lose apart from
But I suppose so.
the fact he had no points either way. So try something different. It might work. It might end in carnage. It might not work at all, and his tyres might blow up on the last lap. But at least he tried it, and if it does work, I'm sure he'll be very happy, and he'll prove us both wrong because I don't think it'll work. But we'll see what he can do. But this is going to be a very interesting ending. The safety car's in this lap, so it'll be Lukomsky who leads ahead of Camel. Then obviously the ones we want to be keeping an eye on is Jerry, Leo, Joris, who are in 5th, 6th and 7th on the best tyres. They can warm them up easier. They can have more grip on them around this track. Grip is you need a lot of grip around this circuit, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this it's not particularly hard on tyres, as a lot of the corners are fairly slow, but it is still, you've got to have a very stable turning car. If you've got a car that is lively, you are going to be flirting with the wall at every given opportunity. We are racing once again here in Canada. Lukomsky from Statura from Siriano. Who's going to come out as Reece Linton already gets a 3-second penalty on the board before he's even crossed the line, and Keane Gondorp's in the pit again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there to Keane unless... Oh, no, he had his safety car, didn't he? Because he's drive-through. He's had to serve his drive-through, so he's now walked at the back of the grid. Here in this race, big shame for the Williams. And a bit of a small mistake, or hopefully no glitch, is what caused that incident for him. Indeed, we can see the leading train, the top 5 without penalties. 6th, 8th, 12th, 14th, 18th and 19th, all the penalties here in this race so far. So many people around that Tyco, Lenny position, they can make a couple of positions here and also be safe of a couple of overtakes because of those behind and ahead having penalties. We can see here Jerry Van Bussel looking to gain in here. We can see the advantage already looking to make a move ahead of Jan Halliday. Down towards the braking zone, Jos Nordijk gets a penalty here in the Haas, and we can see that Jan Halliday gets the move taken by Jerry Van Bussel. Leah London behind as well looking to make a move ahead, and the Aston Martin, it shows here how much more pace these newer medium tyres have rather than the older medium tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. So we haven't even done a lap post safety car yet. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This is where the tyre advantage is already showing. So across the line once again, here comes Leo Lund on the back of Jan Halliday. Bearing in mind that Lund is one of the drivers with penalties. He's got the inside for 1. He's going to have the outside for 2. Can the Aston Martin do anything about it? We're about to find out. Joris Cross has got a great ringside seat for the battle ahead of him. Still side by side, and Jan Halliday concedes that one. Leo Lund up to 5th.
Yes, a very nice move from Leo Lund into P5 he goes, and then we got Joris on the attack here on the back of Jan. Bit of contact into the corner there, but the Mercedes gets the moves done, and now into P6 goes Joris, and then Daniel in P8 looking to make moves. Jan Halliday being eaten up here by the whole field at this point in Canada. Lap 23 of 35, and Jan has got many laps of pain as we can see Daniel get the move done. Now it's going to be Tiger Hardy's turn to make a move ahead of Jan, and also Lindy Pinto looking to make it 3 wide into turn 10. He has to back out at the last second. Jan has to defend to the inside he goes. We've got Tycho on the outside line. Can he defend the position? He can't. Julian Klaffenbach there looks like got into damage because his car's ghosted on the exit of turn 10 as they head back down towards this final chicane. Lenny ahead of Jan now, and we can see as well Sergio Sabrino under pressure here from Reece Linton. They're all looking to make battle because everyone's here on different lap of tyre. Anyone's got to win this here at this point.
Absolutely so. DRS still not available to the drivers. Yeah, well, just as I say that, there it is. It is now available. Liam Stevens just hanging on. Well, he was just hanging on to DRS Rangers. Klaffenbach and Halliday now are arguing for what is now 11th position. Look how far down the Aston Martin has fallen in just a few laps. Again, that is pure tyre advantage that is going on there. Now, the tyre advantage won't live forever. Yes, granted. But the more laps we do, the worse those older tyres are going to feel. Lukomsky and Statura aren't defending against anybody at the moment. But Jerry Van Bussel is doing what he can to do something about it. Sabrino now makes Jan Halliday's day even worse.
See, something tells me there's got to be some sort of issue or damage there for Jan Halliday because he's lost, what, 8 positions in a lap and a half and the top 3 have kept their positions. Is actually battling on at the top as a switch over to at the perfect time. Lukomski trying to defend here from Stashira, who's also got his teammate Mirko Soriano behind, looking to make it 3 wide there. We've got Camel makes a move. Mirko makes a move ahead of Simon Lukomski, and now it will be Mirko looking to go side by side with his teammates in towards the braking zone, and there, perfect work from the Ferraris to get themselves ahead of the Williams. It's a 1-2 Ferrari with Lukomski in third, who's actually looking to fight back, but can't do much because of the DRS for the top 2. We've got Van Bussen looking to gain in. He could also be here looking for a podium tonight. If he can get his card right on these next 10 laps, he's got much more pace. He's on the exit trying to push Simon Lukomski through in towards turn number 3.
Absolutely so. Jeremy Bussell in a prime position to really capitalise with the arguments going on up ahead. He doesn't have to push. He just has to let the tyres do the work for him, essentially. Leo Lund is going to want to push because he's got that penalty to undo. So Jeremy Bussell's next kind of immediate challenge is Joris Krotzen, who again is going to want to dispatch of Leo Lund. Sergio Zabrino adds his name to the penalty board. That's not the last we're going to see of that. Jeremy Bussell. Oh, that's the impact between himself and Lukomski. As the Krotzen and Kjelsen are arguing, that's Leo Lund. That was a compromise run for Van Bussel through the hairpin, and Leo Lund has capitalised in the Red Bull.
And there we can see Joris as well looking to make a move here on the back of Jerry Van Bussel. He's actually cost off at all once they get down towards this next chicane. But big shame there for Van Bussel. Actually gets a bit of a tap there from the back of Joris as they head down towards turn 1. Daniel Kjelsen is battle as well. He's looking to make a move here. Is that someone in the wall as they head down towards turn number 1? And we can see contact, moves being made all over the road here, as you can see. Daniel looking to get a move ahead of the Mercedes, and Mercedes and Joris on the outside, but a tyre hooking as they head down towards turns 3 and 4. Daniel's got the inside line, makes a move, but Joris comes back in to the inside goes. Joris brilliant there, side by side action into that horrible chicane. Brilliant to see, and now Joris gets caught up by Tycho Hardy looking to make a move in towards turn number 6 and turn number 7. Then Tycho collects the Mercedes, comes through, he's Lenny Papinta looking to make it 3 wide. We've got Joris as well down to P10 as that's going to be his teammate behind looking to make a move as well as they all head in towards the chicane. Carnage here on lap 26, everyone looking to make moves and everyone here getting into contact.
Goodness me, yeah, Joris Krotzen just lost the momentum because the tail got loose because he got hooked up pretty much. And Sabrina was in the middle of a 3 wide, Linton one side, I think it's Hallen the other. Oh, that's getting very uncomfortable for 13th, 14th. Here comes Kai Pearson, then on those soft tyres, just trying to have a bit of fun. Here he comes, he's alongside the Aston Martin. He's got one, he's going to have a go at another one before he gets down to the braking zone for that final chicane. Nicely done. It's race class 12, 13, 14 at the moment.
Yep, and we can see further back, Leo Lund makes a send into turn 1 ahead of Lukomski. Lukomski tried to defend, he was looking to make a move ahead of Mirko and didn't catch Leo Lund there. And then Joey Van Bossel up the inside. Brilliant move here from Joey. They go 3 wide in towards the chicane. Surely this can't end well. And they make it through 3 wide. Brilliant between Jerry, Leo and Shimon. And Jerry comes out ahead. P3 for the Alpha Tauri. Further back, we can see moves being made everywhere. Tiger Hardy getting ahead of Lenny Papinta. We've got Lukomski still defending here from Daniel as they all head down now to this next chicane. Further back, Julian Klaffenbach side by side here with Lenny Papinta. Can Julian make the move? He goes to the outside line, tries to get one card, brilliant, but he gets a penalty, he goes off circuit in the process, and that could be Julian's race all a little bit ruined as it looks like there's contact Papinta into the wall, or it was Joris.
It was Joris that came across the nose, and Lenny Papinta, I just jumped on board with the Alpines. It happened. It's a virtual safety car that is going to neutralise the race. We've got cars side by side all over the place. Penalty for Bradley Older with collision with Lenny Papinta, although I didn't see that one. I saw the Mercedes come across the nose of the Alpine again. I'm not pointing fingers, it's just that is what it looked like to me. So more carbon fiber discarded. But how the hell did we see 3 cars from turns 3, 4, and 5 without someone in the wall? How on earth did we just see that?
I don't know, but it worked for Jerry, not for Daniel at all. He lost 2 positions in that process. But we can see soft for Lenny, soft for Joris, and it will probably be soft here for Keane Gerdendorf, looking to try and make a pit stop as Keane actually stopped for tyres. I mean, well, it's a long run down towards the Williams pit box there. He will also be onto a set of soft along with Kai Pearson again, who made a pit stop. So we'll resume hopefully within the next few seconds, and we'll see what the top 15 can do, but with a very feisty bottom 4 looking to gain in 3 race clutches. And well, there's going to be a bit of an awkward debrief at the Race Clutch camp because two of the teammates came together. Yes, they're not in the same car, but they're still teammates at Race Clutch. So, well, that's an interesting one there, of course, for Lenny and Joris. So it's going to be a drive-through for Leo!
No!
Oh, dear me. And then we got
Speeding
Lukomsky
under
making a sense.
PSC, and that can't be appealed. He has to serve it. So Leo Lund, can his day get even worse? He already had a 3-second penalty on the board. That cannot be appealed. It's a drive-through penalty. Oh, Lee, you don't want to see it, but sadly the penalties have struck. But also, how on earth did the Ferrari stay 1-2 at the moment with much older tires? Leo Lund comes into service penalty now, and that's going to drop him into the clutches of the four soft runners arguing at the back.
Of course, you're looking just to try and find some move somewhere happening. Andres Lopez making a move ahead of Sergio Sobrino, P8 for the McLaren. Further ahead, though, Jerry Van Bussel is in a very good position. But the issue is, he's got two teammates ahead who will defend. That's the only issue he has here at this point. Mirko and Campbell are probably in the same VC discussing and trying to defend here from Jerry and Daniel and Simon and everyone else behind who will be looking to try and gain in as they head down now in towards turn number 6 and 7, and Daniel Kjellson looking to make a move, has to back out at the last second. As now he still looks to hunt after the back of Jerry Van Bussel as they head down now in towards turn number 10. Once again, can moves be made? They're looking for moves, they're trying not to make moves, but they're forced into it. We can see Tarka making a move ahead of Shimon. We can see that's Daniel making a move ahead of Jerry, but they're still going to go side by side. A bit of contact as they head out of that corner now, down towards the final chicane once again. As we can see Lukomsky still looking to make a move ahead here at Tygo Hardy. We can see Daniel yet again pulling alongside, can't find a move, and the two Ferraris still looking to defend here from the AlphaTauri, who just can't find a way past. But this time he's got a good run, but still, the good thing is here, Jerry's not keen on making a move because he's still saving his battery.
That's the thing. They're trying to save up for a big move in the closing stage of the race. Well, those laps are going to disappear pretty quickly, and everyone is applying pressure to everyone else. So just letting the lap times, just letting the laps roll by, I'm not entirely certain is a safe way of doing it. But we'll see what they choose to do. Kjellson nearly into the back of Van Bussel once again as the fastest lap predictably changes to the soft runners. I think there was another penalty in there somewhere. Less drivers don't have penalties than those that do. Such is the nature of this circuit and how hard everybody is pushing to try and do something about it. But at the moment, it's still Statura from Soriano from Van Bussel, your top three.
And of course, looking at penalties, Liam Stevens in 13th would move up to P7 after this race. The penalties galore, like it was last season or the season before in Qatar, it's the exact same here in Canada. And we can see there Jost Nornott making a move ahead of Jan Herder. That's our Pulsit, who was leading at one point in the race and got damaged originally. That's why he's all the way down near, well, originally near the back of the grid. Now he's looking to actually be within that top 10. We can see further back Daniel Kjellson yet again looking to make a move here on the back of Jerry Van Bussel, who just can't find a move ahead of the two Ferraris. Daniel looking where to go, left, right, 6 to the inside as they head into turn 1, has the outside at turn 2, tries to pull it round the outside of the AlphaTauri, but just can't find the move done. They go side by side, bit of contact as they head into turn 3 and 4. Daniel just can't find anywhere to go to get himself ahead here of the back of the AlphaTauri. We can see further back Klaffenbach looking to make moves ahead at the back of Tiger Hardy, but he also just can't find a way through because this track is so short and so thin, no one can really pull alongside without any sort of big risk.
And that's the problem, is that is certainly one of the issues. But as Daniel and Jerry are very much proving, they're trying to concentrate on improving their standing in the top 3. But in trying to let the lap times go, the guy behind is going to have a go. As Jerry now goes to the inside line, defends against an advance from Daniel Kjellson. Now it's going to be a Dragos. Who's got the best? Oh, that's a nudge onto the grass for Kjellson. Kjellson with a penalty. Now that could be appealed because he was a bit forced onto the grass from my perspective. Now it's going to be a case of DRS and Slipstream chicken side by side into the final chicane. Kjellson has to get the move done. Oh no, there's impact between the wall. Tycho Hardy manages to go from 5th to 2nd. Or has he? Julian Klaffenbach is now arguing the toss. Where the hell did Klaffenbach come from?
Well, that was something, wasn't it? We can see further back as well. It seems someone has damage. They're going 3 wide in towards turn 4. Linton on the inside line. He backs out. He knows that is not clever at all. So we can still see Jerry on the back here of Mirko Soriano, and contact led Joey now to stay then in P5. He would have gone through to P2. But Targo Hardy and Julian Klavenbach into 2nd and 3rd. Brilliant. Those guys could be looking to try and take victory here in this race, which is something we wouldn't have thought about a few laps ago. We can see more battles being made. Lukomsky looking to make a move over here ahead of Daniel. And Daniel's got damage, you can see, going off the circuit. He must have some sort of damage there on the Sabre cars. They head down towards turn number 10 once again. And now Nordyke looking to make a move, this time ahead of Lekomsky, ahead of the Williams. Into the braking zone he goes. He makes the move when we can see behind Jan Hade, who at one point was down to P13, was nowhere because of the tyres. And now he's in conjunction with this battle for the top 10, or even, you could say, up to first position here.
Yeah, Kjelsen is missing his end play on the right-hand side, so he has got significant damage to the car. Oh, goodness me. He's jumped over to the inside line. I think he's letting Sabrino go. Yep, into the pits comes the Alfa Romeo. I suspect this one's going to be parked, unless he's going to go for a soft tyre run for a bit of a giggle. Why not?
Contact!
Oh, no! That's Lopez and Holden that have gone round.
Yep, Lopez sent it 3 wide in towards turn number 1, and that, well, obviously didn't work quite well at all, did it, for those guys? But look at here, Lenny Pepinta's, I don't think, going to be at all close to making a move on anyone, but he's actually gained quite quick at the back of this pack here on those new softs.
That he has, as Kjelsen has indeed gotten the car reshot onto soft tyres for a couple of quick runs. As
Klaffenbach
completely missed his braking point, ghosted through Statura, remains in second position. So Klaffenbach on all wrong, going down into turn 8.
Of course, now Tiger Hardy looking to defend here from Mirko. Mirko on the outside, Toko on the inside line, close to the wall there for the two, as they'll hop the curb, heading down towards this next chicane once again. And now Klaffenbach looking to close in, looking to make a move to take the lead of this race in towards this final couple of corners. Klaffenbach gets a move done ahead of Camel, and now it will be the Haas who leads the way of the two Ferraris, and then a McLaren in 4th, an F7R Jerry Van Bossel in P5 in the Alfa Tauri. And then any of these top 5 here could take victory here at this race. And if Pinter makes a move into P14 ahead of Leo Lund, and well, the two Ferraris, hopefully they don't get too much contact here, because that wouldn't be fun at all. Oh, and that's Joris, in the pits. Oh.
Yeah, in the pit lane, yeah. He decided enough was enough. That's our second retirement of the night. But Klaffenbach. Oh, go on.
Onto the grass.
Oh dear, that's against Lenny Pepinta. So the Race Clutch Alpine and Race Clutch McLaren arguing for what is 14th position. The Klaffenbach, he needs to make hay where the sun shines. He has a case for certainly one of the warnings for his 3-second penalty, but is there any more that he can argue? Only the stewards. I think the stewards are going to be very, very busy after this race.
Well, they will be indeed. We've got, what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Half of the grid have got penalties, 2 DNF'd. And I believe both of those two also have penalties. So we've had 12 out of 20 drivers with a penalty here in this grid. So, well, what an event it has been so far. But we head through to begin the final lap of this race. Julian leads ahead of Camel, ahead of Mirko, who will be looking to try and take the lead. But at the moment, Julian's got a penalty, which would already demote him down towards P5, or maybe even lower because of how close the gaps are down to P10.
Yeah, there is a few gaps forming in that top 3, but behind Jerry is very, very close indeed. Reese Linton, Joost Noordijk. Joost, who was last at one point. Yes, he's still carrying a penalty, so he's going to drop him a couple of positions from where he currently stands. But at the moment, everyone gets a penalty, therefore it negates everybody else's. Kjelsen gets the fastest lap of the race, but Julian Klaffenbach, what a story that'll be. Okay, at the moment, he won't hang on to that victory. But that moment that saw him go from, 6th to 3rd or 6th to 2nd was absolutely unreal. He'll be smiling about that one for a while. I'm surprised also that the two Ferraris have hung on as well as they have. They come through that hairpin for the final time. There's going to be an absolute brawl down to that last chicane.
Of course, and I don't think anything here is what Camel can do to get the lead. He's too far back as they head in towards this final chicane. We can see Tiger Hardy looking to fight through for P3, but he can't do much at all. But it will be Julian Klaffenbach who exits the final corner to take victory here in Canada. But a penalty will demote him, which means Camel gets the provisional lead here in Canada, ahead of Mirko, ahead of Tiger Hardy in 3rd, and Jerry Van Bossel in P4. But luckily for Julian, only down to P5. So he got saved a little bit, didn't he, by all the carnage, because he's only in P5 after a 3-second penalty. And Hardy comes home to take 6th. He'll be ahead of Lekomsky in 7th, Liam Stevens in 8th, racing to 9th. And Joost Noordijk, despite having damage and being at the back of the grid, finishes in the top 10. That was a hectic race indeed, wasn't it?
Yes, somewhat. My goodness me. Well, this will be interesting to hear what some of the drivers say. That is, if we hear from some of the driver of the day, Julian Klaffenbach, just for making that bonkers move along that start-finish line work, along with Tycho Hardy, why not?
Yeah, it was. Well, I've seen races that have caused controversy and have caused issues, but this one, dear me, it was something. I've seen a lot less entertaining races than that this season. Let's just say that for sure, because it might not have been the case, but it was certainly very entertaining for the viewers. But we can see the full classification of the grid here on your screens, and hopefully we can have a word from our top three, who's Camille, Mirko, and Tycho. We'll pop a quick message into the Discord and see if we can drag them up to have a quick word and, well, see what the thoughts were on that chaotic race. And Discord is going to be, well, rather interesting afterwards. I'm going to have a good read through it after, because I'm sure there'll be lots of entertaining things to see, which probably aren't going to be very well mentioned here on the stream.
No. I suspect we'll have to keep that one away from public eyes. But gosh, Ruth, that was quite nuts. Yeah. So yeah, you've already invited our three drivers, so we'll see. We'll see what is going to happen. It's not as lively as I thought it would be, actually. Maybe everybody just hasn't got back to Discord yet.
Yeah, well, we've got Tycho Harding. He said he'll be there, so we'll have him with us. And
oh, lovely.
Oh, wow. Chris, what a race to stub in for. It could have been Monaco, but no, it was a Canadian Grand Prix, which was very exciting to the end, which is safe to say. And the first few laps, I thought, you know what? Generally, I thought this was going to be a boring race because nothing happened. Then Joost Noordijk kicked it off. He binned it into the wall. Whether that was contact or he lost the rear, I'm not sure, but I presume he lost the rear, considering where he hit the wall. After that, it all kicked off, didn't it? And it was just carnage after carnage, contact after contact, crash after crash. We had 3 wide moments into turn 4, which is something I've never ever seen before. It's literally, it's like Castle Without the Walls, isn't it, that section? It's that thin and tight.
But we have our first interviewee ready to have a chat to us.
Well, we'll drag him in and we'll see if he wants to. We'll see what he has to say. Tycho, welcome in. So P3 in the end. Wasn't that chaotic?
Yeah, I mean, what I've seen on the last few laps was just crazy. It was just absolute carnage, and I even lost myself a position because I don't know if you could see on stream, but Julian was lagging quite a bit, and his car lagged into me, and yeah, I didn't know his car was going to go, so I was slowing down, and I lost the position to Mirko. So yeah, that was in the end, but yeah, I mean, it was carnage, and somehow I avoided all of it.
Of course, and obviously with the likes of Lenny and Reese not really scoring many points, that really gets you into the ballpark for the top 3 in the championship. I think you might even get past Lenny in the standings due to getting that P3 in the end, which might even be a P2 or P1, depending what happens with everyone else ahead, because I'm sure there'll be many post-race penalties. But either way, how did that race go in general? Was you happy with the pace? Do you think you could have finished there anyway without all the carnage, or do you think it was a bit of luck to get yourself in towards that top 3 near the end?
I mean, I think I didn't do a lot of practice for this race, but I realized quite early on when I was doing like race practice and early on in the race as well that my race pace was very strong because I was just following everyone like on the bumpers. It was just really easy to follow for me, and I was making some moves. And yeah, my qualifying was very poor. I just did a very bad last lap, but I didn't have time on the board, so just really needed to get a valid lap in. And in the end, I think I would have been in the fight for that position anyway if I would have done a better quali. But yeah, a little bit of luck, but also some good avoidance skills, I guess. And I mean, you also always need some luck with that. But yeah, in the end, I'm just happy to be here.
Of course.
After all the carnage.
And next week we're off to France. Are you excited about that circuit or not?
I mean, it's all right. It's not my favorite track. It's not my worst track. Last few games I used to like it a lot, but this game it's not really my thing. But we'll see. I mean, this calendar has not really suited me at all, but somehow I keep finding myself on the podium. So I mean, I'm not complaining.
Of course. So that's all from me. So well done on the P3. Anything from you, Chris?
There must have been points where you thought going that many wide was going to see you into the wall. How do you do it? Or do you just, see gap, go for it?
To be honest, I wasn't really the one going for the gaps. I was more the one like capitalizing on everyone going side by side. Like I've seen people go side by side into the second chicane, and I was just kept lining myself up every time, and I made some moves into the hairpin as well. So yeah, that's really the only place I did overtakes, and maybe turn one a couple, but not really. I wasn't really the one standing, and it was more the one capitalizing.
Indeed. So, Taika, mate, thank you for joining us for the interview. Hopefully, we'll see you again next time in the interview box. So, have a good one and good luck for next week in France.
Yeah, cheers, French comes.
And next, we'll speak to Mirko Soriano. Mirko, welcome in, mate. So, P2 in the end in that race, obviously behind your teammate. What a race that was. Yes, again, I'll send it to Tycho. What did you think of the carnage?
I'm so lucky I didn't see any of that apart from the chicane and the 3 laps to the end. Yeah, that moment was scary. Like, because I had to cut the chicane, of course, because I had no space. Like, if I was going for the corner, I was getting spun out, and I didn't want that, of course. I should have cut more and then lose the time I gained. Because with the cut I did, I jumped on the curb, and yeah, I lost all the momentum. We touched again with Daniel. So yeah, the cut wasn't ideal, but we're not here to talk about the cut. No, it was very well executed. I had a strategy in my mind because there was me and Camille P2 and P3 with the new medium runners coming. So I thought, you know what, Camille, first lap of DRS,
Yeah.
need to go down the inside in the airpin so I can get him as well with the DRS. Executed perfectly. We went P1 and P2. We basically defended the whole race. Unlucky for the incident on the chicane. But yeah, I don't know if the penalty stands for Julian.
Well, I think he might get a penalty anyway.
If
I
he's-
know that he had lots of lag, and there was, I think, a few people who got a little bit misled by him anyway. I think something happened down to one of the hairpins.
Yeah. Also, I was very happy with the move I did with on Tico. So I was about to finish P4, and then I invented the overtake on the outside of the airpin. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's not P2, it's P3. So still
Indeed.
gain points on the contenders.
Of course, and obviously with Reese being down here, I think he was around P6, and Lenny, I don't think was in any points at all. It really helps you just pull away that little bit more and get that gap probably to around 8 or 9 points in the championship, which I think is definitely helpful. But obviously, with many more rounds to go, obviously we've got lots of interesting tracks coming up. The likes of, we'll have a quick look. Likes of France, Portugal, Baku.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on them? Is it a nice ending to the season, or do you think there's many difficult tracks?
Actually, it's not, because I've never done a single lap in Portimao, in France, and in Azerbaijan.
Oh,
The whole game.
So that's going to be an interesting one. So do you think you can still fight for podiums even though you haven't really raced on them much?
Well, I haven't done a race in Canada as well, so.
Oh, well. So it's not been the most ideal, but still, P2, I don't think you can moan much about that at all. Indeed. So, well, that's all from me. So well done on the P2. Anything from you, Chris?
How bad were your tyres at the end? How the hell did you hang on that heavily with those behind you that had fresher tyres?
I was sliding just a bit, but actually, the funny thing is, we were in the Ferrari call just before the race, and they were asking what I said, were you running for the race? And I said I am on one wing gap, and they all laughed at me. But yeah, it was stable enough to keep the other cars behind.
Well, it worked. I think it did a very good job. And, well, maybe in another world where it wasn't what happened here, it could have been a different story. But Mirko, well done, mate, on the P2. And we'll see you again next week in France. So have a good one, mate.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
So, Chris, we come to the end of a very interesting Canadian Grand Prix. I'm just going to make sure we're on the right screen and I'm not leaking the Discord like I've done on many occasions in the past. Here it is. Hello, everyone, again. And... well, it was interesting to say the least. We had carnage, penalties, crashes, DNFs, everything you could have asked for. We even got drive-through penalties under safety car, drive-through penalties under a virtual safety car. It was carnage to say the least. That's just put it that way. And if anyone's just tuned in now, could just go back to around lap 15 and just watch onwards, because believe me, the time is going to fly. Because those 20 laps were... there was Katie. It felt like there was Katie every second because they were just going by and by and by, and everything happening all led to, I wouldn't say an unexpected top three, but we saw Tiger Hardy, who was down in P9, P10, up into third. We saw Camilla Mirko defending somehow on tyres that were 5, 6, 7 lap older than others behind. Jerry Van Bussel was looking to win. He was then in P5. We had Liam Stevens, who was in 14th, finishing 8th. That's how carnage it was on those final few laps, and I think it's safe to say it was still entertaining, wasn't it, Chris? And for you, I don't think you could have asked for a better race to step in for. And Sappi will be he'll regret this now, won't he? I'm sure he will.
He'll be kicking himself for that one because that was absolutely superb. Always happy to be in PSGL colours when the race is like that, it is simply even better. Yeah, some scrappy moments, no doubt about it. Mistakes were made, but some great racing to be enjoyed. And God, did I enjoy it.
Of course. And we'll have a quick look at the calendar quickly before we head off. And that is that next week we're back here, of course, again for the French Grand Prix. And then obviously after that we're at Portugal for round 7. So make sure to keep tuned for 2 tracks which aren't even on the F1 calendar this season. They're making their returns as iconic tracks, as the F1 game call them. So that's going to be very interesting 2 weeks to follow. So obviously make sure to come back next week for that race. Make sure to come back tomorrow for E-Series, Monday for the console division, then of course Wednesday for, I believe it's the finale or one of the final races for the PC F1 Championship. So make sure to come and check that all out. And until then, guys, have a good one and goodbye.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL. It's Wednesday night. It's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Brings me a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron